Assuming it's going right now?
Now it's going.
Oh, now it's going.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for coming.
Hey, I want you to borrow Tina's chair and stand up and take a picture of
My name is Carl Nadzowski, and I'm the CEO for the Saskatoon EDA. Basically, we're trying to get the 3 candidates in Saskatoon elected, but we have some special guests tonight. We have, oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to introduce them. So we're going to have Max come in here, and he's going to introduce them. What was supposed to happen. So Max, can you come here, and everybody ready to move?
So, how are you? Welcome, freedom fighters. So, you know that you'll be able to vote for your values and vote for the PPC because here in Saskatchewan, we have a full slate of candidates. So every people in this province will be able to vote for their values and to vote for the PPC. And I want you may know, is it okay? You may know some of them, but I want to be sure that you know, thank you, Mark, that you know they're there for you. And so the candidate from Saskatoon West, Kevin Boychuk. Saskatoon University, Guto, you know Guto. Saskatoon Grasswood, Mark Fraser. Cauldron Trail, Eagle Creek, Michael. And how do you, no, not your name, the writing.
It's Deb's name, it's Mississippi Churchill River.
Okay, Desiree with us. Grace Albert, Joseph. Moose Jaw Lake Center, Leggedigan. Che. And I want you to know our candidates that are here today, so they will have the floor. They will tell you who they are in more details and why they decided to run for you, to represent you for the PPC. And after that, I'll be with you. Thank you!
So we'll just go where we started off. Kevin Boychuk, everybody.
Hi everybody. As you heard, my name is Kevin Boychuk. I'm representing Saskatoon West. For some of you, you may know me from running against Aaron Hill in Saskatoon municipal election in Ward 1. I think I've got a few supporters in the crowd that have come back, Brian over there. And it was a tough battle, lost by 56 votes, but I'm here re-energized to represent Saskatoon West and take on a bigger piece of the puzzle. What brought me to this was a lot to do with my municipal run. I was motivated by a lot of people door knocking, going door to door. I knew a lot of things that were coming down the pipe with sustainable development goals, the UN agendas that were affecting our municipal politics. And I kind of knew how big it was and where the UN thing was and all that good stuff, but through my door knocking, I met a lot of people just like you, and great people, all having a common concern. A lot of this was during the COVID time, but it was, people were thinking, well, this is all going to go away real quick, and unfortunately, I knew better. From the research I did in the past, there were a number of great people I met door to door that actually got me reacquainted, believe it or not. Mark Friesen is my wife's first cousin. I knew that part when I went door to door, but I ran across one gentleman. We got talking and he says, just before I left, you know this guy, Mark Friesen? I was like, well, maybe. You know, there's lots of Friesens. I mean, we're in that country just north of here, there's Friesens all over the place. So I'm thinking, well, yeah, what are the chances it's the same Mark? It probably isn't. Now this talk is supposed to be about me, but Mark's going to get a little free time on my expense, so I'm going to take a couple extra minutes, Mark, wherever you are. And it turned out, I ran home, got on the computer, who's this grizzly patriot guy? I get on there and it's like, Krista! It's my wife. Come over here. This is your cousin, this grizzly patriot guy. And I get to find out he's been studying this stuff, which he might tell you tonight, and if you already know him, for at least 17 to 20 years. And it all kind of sunk in at that point that what I was doing, I was in the right direction. I was getting frustrated with municipal politics. Why are we spending $6.5 million on bike lanes north of the 49th parallel? So it morphed, and here I am. I was a close race against a established individual with 14 years, and I only lost by 56 votes, and that generated a lot of interest with the People's Party of Canada. Because a third of that, Saskatoon West, is Ward 1. And I believe I grabbed a lot of attention with basic truths and philosophies. And let me get into something real briefly here. And I'm going to tell you something that most of you don't know that gets circulated among government departments and different administrations, our high schools, universities, and I will tell you what they're up to. And the great thing about this stuff is, I don't even have to write my own stuff. What's really nice about this is, it's like a good comedian. When he has good material, he just uses somebody else's stuff and puts a twist to it. This is called the COVID-19 SHA update, August 27th, 2021, right from our arm of the provincial government. If anybody knows me, I've talked to our provincial Minister of Health, Mr. Paul Merriman, who I voted for in my riding. We supposedly have a conservative government, but you'd never know it right now. We supposedly have 3 conservative provincial governments across the prairies, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. By their actions in the last almost 2 years, you'd never know it. We need positive federal leadership to bring our provinces back in line with true Canadian values. This document right here questions all of that. I'm going to read a couple highlighted points and I'll get off the stage here, but it says, One quote, third paragraph down, and they're talking about a COVID-19 update. It says no matter what kind of event you're planning to attend, with Delta variant growing and the number of people unvaccinated, not fully vaccinated, consider wearing a mask to crowded events and to keep yourself and others protected. The next first part of the sentence says, without public health orders in place. I can't make this up. It is up to each individual to think not only about what they need to do to protect themselves, but what needs to happen to protect the community around them. Without public health orders in place. This is how your provincial government is absent when we see the Western Hockey League mandating vaccines for their players, our children that have aspired to play their whole lives. This is how we see the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League hanging the carrot and extending the stick. The goalposts keep changing, people. They are not allowed to play, and they have strict deadlines unless they're vaccinated. Now, this all started with just a mask. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We are almost 2 years, and we are going through the whole Greek alphabet from Alpha to Omega.
More to come.
And this is something that has to stop. Okay. So, without a public health order in place, they make a couple claims in here. Another one on the first page, we stopped the flu in its tracks. I always wanted to be a comedian, I really did. I keep telling my wife this. I mean, I didn't write this, guys. I'm telling you, I'm just stealing their work. COVID-19, second page, and I was told I got 2 minutes, I gotta go quick. The Roy Romano, this is the best one. The Roy Romano Provincial Lab had results in a number of invalid COVID-19 results. Potentially false positives in brackets. Approximately 255 samples are being reanalyzed dating back to August 18th at 8 a.m. They even have it down to the hour and the minute. Until August 22nd, when the issue was discovered, of those results, 206 samples were deemed invalid. Now, Mark and others can speak about this, but I'll tell you what. We know about the PCR testing. We know about the cycle thresholds. Anybody that takes any time to listen to this, and we really got to question the science. Whose science are we using? And I'll probably wrap it up, guys, with this. And I gotta read this, because this is not the funny part, this is actually quite sad. And the government, the provincial government, is letting their arm of the COVID-19 task force here write this. Canada, with a population of just over 37 million people, has already received more than 66 million doses, he said. Comparatively, Uganda in East Africa, with a population of just over 43 million, received 1.72 million doses late July and has so far only immunized 1.1 million people. Only 1.1 million. And if anybody's seen some of the film footage on the underground real news, they're firing rubber bullets at these people. But I'll go on. They're experiencing a very bad wave of infection right now. They moved into yet another lockdown, only to lift restrictions. Now hold on for this, and this is not the funny part. Because people were starving to death because their movement was limited.
Brutal. I think so.
Our kids are suffering in this province. Our old people are suffering in this province. People here in Saskatoon having to put their hands up on a window in Saskatoon to see a loved one because somebody said there was a positive test and nobody's sick in an old folks home or a school or a hockey arena. This isn't about a mask, people. This isn't about a virus. It's more serious than that. This chills me to the bone. I'm a 54-year-old father with a lovely, beautiful 50-year-old wife, just turned 50 on August 15th. Our oldest is 15, my youngest is 5, my middle guy, the most important one of the family, is 12. And I can tell you, this is not the Canada I was brought up in as an older parent. I'm looking forward to each and every one of you going out and spreading this word and tell 10 of your friends. Move this purple wave so that we can conquer this country of free-speaking people again.
All right, our next candidate is another entrepreneur. I've known Gudo for about 2 years. I met him back when he was campaigning last election. And what I learned then, now it's so much different. Everything's a lot worse. So, anyways. If there was ever to be a wave, this is the year, But anyhow, so here's Gudo Penteado in Saskatoon University.
It's so beautiful to see this house packed. Amazing, amazing. It means that conservatives in Saskatchewan just woke up and are not voting for the wrong party anymore. We are conservatives, we are patriots, and we are voting for the right party, for our principles, for our family, and for this beautiful country. And we are all in this together. I remember last election, as Paul was saying, things are worse now, but for the PPC, things are much better. Can you feel it? Can you feel the wave? The purple wave is coming. I remember in 2019, we finished an election with 1.6% of the votes. It is a small percentage, but the Green Party took 20 years to achieve 1.6% of the votes. 20 years for the Green Party. And now, baby, we are pointing between 6 and 7%. So, this time, we're not starting from 0. We're starting from 6 or 7. And we have lots of room to grow. All I ask you guys, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, talk to your co-workers. If every one of you convince 3, 5, or 10 people, we're gonna make this wave much bigger, much stronger, and make this country free again. Free of gender identity in schools and companies. Free of carbon taxes. We're the only party that's gonna use the Constitution to build pipelines because no other party has the courage to talk to Quebec or BC to impose the pipelines to them. We're the only ones doing that. And I would like to remember, Trudeau and O'Toole, of course they're the same, they're sharing the platform. We're not splitting any vote, we're just flipping it. We're flipping to conservative. Because this is what we are, okay? O'Toole and Trudeau, they share the same platform, so they are splitting the votes because they share the same electorate. They are splitting the votes, not us. We're in another level. We are conservatives as we've always been. We didn't move anywhere. The Conservative Party moved to the middle in 2019, and now it moved more to the left. And we are still here. We are conservatives. So we are not betraying the Conservative Party. They betrayed their base. They betrayed their base. Last election in 2019, Canada elect 120 CPC, Conservative Party members of Parliament. 120 of them. This is the biggest opposition in history of Canada. And what they did during these 2 years with Trudeau as an opposition, zero, nada, zip. They did absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing they did in Parliament as an opposition. So all I ask you guys give the PPC a voice. I'm sure that we're at 7%, we're going to elect a few. But we could elect more and make our opposition even stronger, even real, because we don't have a real opposition in Ottawa. They approve everything Trudeau wants. So Trudeau didn't even need an election now, because he does whatever he wants. He does exactly whatever he wants. Let's elect 6, 5, 10, 12, 20 of us, and I guarantee you that 6 of us will be much stronger. We're going to make much more noise in Ottawa than 119 useless CPC members. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, just adding on to what Gudo said, if you look up the party platforms 2 years ago, they were very different. Now it's not even on the same page. The liberal government and conservative, almost no difference. So, anyhow. So the next speaker here is the candidate for Saskatoon Grasswood. You might know him. He's another entrepreneur. We got Mark Friesen.
Hello, super spreaders. Super spreaders of freedom. You know, we talk a lot about values, and I'm sure glad we do. Because these values, in my province of Saskatchewan, were set in stone by our ancestors, who immigrated here from communist totalitarian dictatorships to freedom. And they built an unbelievable nation that should be the beacon of freedom for the world. We have been. We're not right now. And that breaks my heart. Truly does. When we talk about values, this isn't about left or right, red or blue, gay or straight, black or white. This is about Canadian values that we all share. The values of freedom, liberty, justice, sovereignty, equality under the law, prosperity, and truth. If you ask any Canadian across this country if they share and cherish those values, they'll say yes. But coincidentally enough, it's those values in particular that are under attack, from within and without. When our Prime Minister, 1 week after being elected, referred to my country as a post-national state, the fire was born in me. When he told Canadians that we don't have an identity, I got words for you, Mr. Trudeau.
Can't say them here.
That's probably good. We are a province and a nation that when our backs are against the wall, we defeat the people who put us up against that wall every time. We built this province, we built this country on integrity, morality, and they're going to try to take that away from us. They're trying to demoralize us all through what they're doing.
Good luck.
Good luck. We have a long history, thousands of soldiers' lives sacrificed for these values. And I'll be damned if some establishment globalist politician is going to strip us of those values and our freedoms. I've been at this game for a long time. First of all, somebody told me I can only speak for 5 minutes. I'm not sure they know me very well. I tend to talk and I tend to not follow the rules. I've been at this a long time. About 18 years. Fighting against this agenda. Don't kid yourself, COVID has nothing to do about a virus. It's about to do with social engineering, conditioning, demoralizing, dividing. That's what it's about. Because they have an agenda that they want to achieve by 2030. And they'll use any mechanism at their disposal to try to do it. They hate humanity, they've said it themselves, their words, not mine. That's their fatal flaw. Because it's going to be humanity that defeats them. So it's an absolute pleasure and a little overwhelming, I'll be honest. After 18 years of pounding my head against the wall, screaming into a black hole, that people are finally paying attention.
Congratulations.
Because everything they're doing is actually necessary for us to wake up from being asleep. We've been asleep, fat and happy, for a long time. And we've ignored everything our politicians have done to our country. And now, that grizzly bear is waking up. And I can't tell you how happy that makes me feel. When I'm driving down the street in Saskatoon and I got City of Saskatoon employees stopping, backing up, rolling down the window and saying, "We got you, Mark. We got you." Everybody I know is voting for Mark. Because it's about values. It's about freedom. So here we are, we're at the precipice. We're really at probably the most critical point in our nation's history, right now. So we need each and every one of you folks that's here to speak to your communities, to speak with your co-workers, to speak with your family, and tell them It's about these values we share. It has nothing to do with preconceived left-right notions. This is about our country. This is about our children having the same opportunities, the same freedoms that we all had and took for granted. Now it's our time to fight. Please share that message. This is too important to just let slide. So, I'm going to wrap up. As I mentioned, the Reform Party was the only federal party I've ever belonged to. And then they broke my heart when they merged with the Red and finished that movement. So I was politically homeless federally for most of my adult life because I knew exactly what those parties represented. Until 2018, when an individual created the People's Party. Debate, that discussion inspired me to research this person and see what he's all about, see what he brings to the table. I looked at the platform, I looked at the core values of freedom, fairness, respect, and responsibility. And I swallowed my pride. And I said, what the hell are you doing, Mark? This is the opportunity that you've been waiting for your whole adult life. Exactly. Here's a party that's actually going to allow you to promote what you know and to educate, to inform people as to what's going on in our nation. So I joined the party, I helped build the party, ended up running as a candidate, and went through that election in 2019. It was an eye-opener, it was a great learning experience. But after that election, it became very obvious how ignorant and misinformed the masses really are. So I got busy. Instead of laying down, I stood up. And I took it on the road. Knowing with the platform that the PPC has, knowing that if people only had the information, if they only knew what was happening, the default then becomes the People's Party, without question. So I am eternally grateful for Maxime Bernier and what he created and what he's allowed us to be part of, to take advantage of, to save our nation and take it back from the globalists. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. As you can see, we have great and awesome candidates ready to fight for you. Fight for what? Fight for our freedom, because we know that freedom is the fundamental value that drives us together today. And freedom is nothing less than the basis of our Western civilization. Only in a free society is there human dignity, equality of rights, and economic prosperity. So, what makes our country great and a great place to live? Because our country has been for a century and a half one of the freest societies in the world. But we are losing our basic rights and freedoms at a rapid pace. Our traditional Western civilization values are fast eroding. We cannot take for granted our freedom anymore. And this is why this election will be a referendum on our way of life, our civilization. Do we want to have more and more of the same for the past 18 months? Do we want to go back to our life before COVID-19? The election will be about government control versus freedom. I choose freedom. I choose freedom because I don't want to say goodbye to our way of life. I don't want to say goodbye to my country. But I'm not happy. I'm not happy looking at the situation today. And you can call me Mad Max. I'm mad. And you need to be mad also when you see what these establishment politicians are doing to us. Look what Trudeau said a couple of days ago. We, or me, maybe some of you, people who decided not to have the vaccine, we are a danger. We are putting at risk our kids and other kids. Trudeau is dividing us by race, by gender, by religion, and now by if we are vaccinated or not. We must be the same. Everybody must be equal before the law. But for Trudeau and O'Toole, that's not the case. And our goal is to say no to that. You know, what Trudeau is doing, we know that it is not based on science. It is not based on common sense. Everybody can spread the virus. The vaccinated ones and the unvaccinated Canadians can spread the virus. Why doing that discrimination and segregation? Why? That's not Canadians. So, yeah. And what is our goal? To unite Canadians under the freedom umbrella. That's the movement. That's what is happening in our country. Not only here in Saskatchewan, because somebody and some journalists think that we can have the support on only former conservative. No, that's not true. I was in New Brunswick last weekend, and we have a lot of support over there. But they didn't vote conservative. We have a lot of support over there because they are like you. They want their country back. And they know that we are going in the right direction. They don't want, like you, a show me your papers society. And that's the reality. In my own province in Quebec, yesterday, they started that yesterday. The vaccine passport is in force. I called my wife this morning. I'm on the road. And I said, how are you? What did you do yesterday? She said, oh, Maxime, I wanted to go to a restaurant. And I wasn't able to go there. I forgot that it was the 1st of September. That's happening right now. Right now in Quebec. And it's coming in Ontario. And it will be here. Why? Because Trudeau said that he's going to give $1 billion that we don't have to provinces to be sure that they will implement the vaccine passport. It's unconstitutional, illegal, and immoral. So it's not only it's not only conservative voters that know that. Every Canadian across the country, they know that we need to be together to fight. That's a big fight. That's a revolution. Because we know when tyranny becomes the law, revolution becomes our duty. That's our duty. It is our duty, and actually, today I was in where we were. I'm doing so many cities. We had a rally over there, lunchtime, about 160 people there, big success. But we had some protests just in front. And when I came here, they were saying, Bernier, you're a racist, and they were there. So I didn't do anything about that. Go in, and we did that rally. And after that, I had a journalist, local journalist, that asked me questions. And he said, you know, what do you think about people protesting when Justin Trudeau is doing his rally? And you're the only leader that did not condemn them. I said, yes. I said, yes. And he said, why? I said, because we live in a free country. That's right. And freedom of expression. People have a right to express their point of view peacefully, and that's what they did. Yeah. We are in a free country. So, and he said, you had people here today that wrote on their sign, Bernier is a racist. What do you think about that? I said, first, I don't like it. I don't like to be insulted. It's not true. But you know, they have the right to say what they believe. It's okay, we are in a free society. They have the right to insult me. That's okay. I don't like it. I will fight back. I will use my words as my weapons, and I will win that battle. So what our candidates just here told you, they told you exactly that. Canada needs our voice, and we need your support. We need you to stand up and speak out like Guido, Mark, and all our candidates did. We need you to help us and save our country. And to do that, you know, like when I was arrested, handcuffed.
Thank you.
Handcuffed and put in jail for a non-crime after a political gathering in Canada in 2021. That was political repression. That was not our country. But I said that when he asked me the question about, do you have any weapons on you? Do you have anything that can hurt me? And you know, that was the first time that I was arrested. And the last time, but maybe not. Maybe not, because I want to travel across this country, and as you know, Justin Trudeau said, if you don't have the 2 shots, you won't be able to travel by plane. But I will travel by plane after the election, and I don't know, maybe I'll be arrested. But I'm ready to go to jail, to fight for our values, to fight for our freedom. So when I said that, only my words, only my weapons, and I'm using my words as my weapons. I'm asking you to do the same thing. I'm asking you to stand up, speak out, and use your words as your weapons. Because we have been and we are cancelled by the mainstream media. They don't want to speak, they don't want to give us visibility. As you know, the mainstream media don't cover our campaign.
Scaredy not.
Yeah, and they don't cover our campaign. So we need your help. We need you to be out there. But I believe at the end of this campaign, because we will have, like Guto said, a couple of candidates that will be elected and will be more efficient than the official opposition that you have right now in Ottawa. They will have to cover us. And I can tell you, we will use all the tools, all the parliamentary tools, to fight for what we believe. The questions period, also the committee, parliamentary committee, will be very active in Ottawa. And mainstream media will have to be there to cover us. But they don't want to cover us because what we are saying, it's based on science, truth, facts, and common sense. And they know that it's very powerful. If more and more people can hear about us, we'll have more and more support. But it will come, and that freedom and common sense revolution will start the 28th of September, because after that election, we will be there, and you'll have a freedom voice in Ottawa that will be ready to fight for you and for our country. It's all about what John Diefenbaker said in the 1960s. It's all about what he said. And I want to read what he said at that time. That's why we are doing that fight together. He said, I'm a Canadian, a free Canadian, free to speak without fear, free to worship in my own way, free to stand for what I think right, free to oppose what I believe wrong, free to choose who shall govern my country. This heritage of freedom I pledge to uphold for myself and all mankind. We will do that together. That's not about vote splitting. That's not about, what Aaron O'Toole said. He said that, the biggest subject today is what some people are doing to dogs and cats. And yes, it's not okay. But we must fight for the future of our country. And it's about also balancing our budget. O'Toole said, because we are responsible. We don't want to have money right now from the federal government, borrowed money, and we don't believe in buying votes with money that we don't have. But O'Toole said, and I want to speak about that, yesterday in French in Quebec, that the question was, Mr. O'Toole, you said that you will balance the budget in 10 years. And can you tell us what you will cut to be sure to balance the budget? And he said, yes, I will balance the budget in 10 years without cuts. So what he's saying what Justin Trudeau said a couple of years ago. The budget balanced itself. I can tell Aaron O'Toole it's very easy. It's very easy to balance the budget without increasing taxes, by cutting, yes. It's easy, you can find billions of dollars. Can you tell me what we can find or what we can cut to balance the budget? $1 billion there, that's great. And Mark would be very happy, we'll cut foreign aid, $5 billion there. But Mark won't be happy on that one because he asked me, Maxime, we must not be part of the UN. UN is not doing good things for us. It's a bunch of socialists. So I said, Mark, we will stay in the UN, but we will cut the budget that we are giving to the UN. The only condition, if the UN wants our money, they will have to do things that are in line with our values. So I said, Mark, do you really believe that they will have programs or policies that are in line with our values? No. And he said no. So we will cut the UN. And the other conversation, all these globalists, I'm not an expert, Mark is an expert. So what about the World Health Organization? I said, Mark, what do you want? We need to cut also the budget over there. I said, okay, we'll do that also. But also what we can do, Mark, I have an idea. Do you know a lady called Teresa Tan? We gotta fire her also. So Aaron O'Toole, it's easy to balance a budget in 4 years. It's very easy. But I know, you you're going to the left and you want to have the support of the GTA and people in Quebec, and you think that telling the truth, that you won't have any support, and you believe that Canadians are stupid. No, we are doing politics differently, based on facts. And you know, Aaron and Justin and all these establishment leaders, we say no to racial politics, identity politics, and you know, that political correctness. And I'm very happy to be not political correct. We have great candidates. I'm not alone. That's a real national political party, and I'm very proud of our candidates. But I must admit, every election now, journalists ask the same questions about our candidates. They asked the question in 2019, and my team called me yesterday, and they asked the same questions about our candidates. Jewish candidate do you have? How many Muslim candidates do you have? How many black candidates do you have? How many LGBT, what is the other letter? LGBT something candidates do you have? So we said we don't know. The journalist came back 2 days later and said to my team, you know, I asked all these questions to the other political parties, and I have the answer. And I want to give you the last chance to answer that, because tomorrow I will publish my paper. So, do you have the answer? And we said, no. And she said, why? And we said, because we don't care. We don't care. And we are proud to have candidates coming from different backgrounds, different ethnicity, but we don't ask that. We ask them only one question. Do you want to put our country first? Do you want to put Canadians first? Do you believe in your country? Are you ready to fight for Canadians? And yes, you're welcome. Come aboard and help us to win and to fight for what we believe. So, this is a revolution. And I'm not exaggerating. It can take time, but you know what is good about the PPC? When you know our platform, it will always be the same one. We had the same platform in 2019, that's the same platform in 2021, and it will be the same platform in 2025. Because we will fight until we win, and we don't do politics based on survey, on polling. No, our goal, like Mark said, we want to inform the population. We have a vision for this country, and we know that we have the best policies for this country, so we will always fight, and yes, we will win step by step, and this election is an important step for the PPC, because we will be a little bit more, we will have a little bit more than the 4 or 5%, because as you know, I don't believe polls, and when I'm traveling across the country, I can tell you that here, the purple wave is very present, but it's the same thing in Atlantic Canada, and same thing in BC and in Quebec. And people are ready for that common sense revolution. And they know that they can trust us. What we are telling you today, we're telling you the same thing tomorrow until you understand. Because you are intelligent. You will come on our side step by step. So, and you know, I like what Margaret Thatcher once said. She was a real conservative in UK. And when she was elected, socialism was everywhere. Like today, we are living in a socialist era. And it was that at the same time. And she fought for what she believed, and she was able to win and to change what needed to be changed at that time. But after politics, she did an interview, and she had a discussion, and the journalist asked her, what was the thing that you didn't like being in politics? And she said, you know, politicians are always looking to have consensus. And they're doing some compromise to have a consensus. And when I had meeting, I really didn't like that. Because she said, you don't do any compromise on your principle. We won't do any compromise on our principle. So it is a critical time. And I want to end like I'm doing. I want to end with a quote from John F. Kennedy now, in 1961. What he said at that time is very actual for today. That's why it's important to remember what he said to his fellow citizens in 1961. He said, in the long history of the world, only few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its maximum hour of danger. You are that generation. This is your role, and now is the time. We will fight for freedom all together. Candidates all across the country, I can tell you that purple wave will be there, and a lot of people in Canada will be surprised, but we won't be surprised because we know that it's coming, and I want to thank you. They're working very hard to have your support. Now we must help them. Please help us to win that battle of ideas.
So we're going to do a little bit of a Q&A for you folks to give yourselves an opportunity to ask Max or anyone else on stage some questions. So by all means, I think we have a remote mic that we can hand to people if they have a question. Oh, you have questions here? Okay.
I don't like to go to the left.
Check. Mr. Bernier, we are taxed to the hilt in Canada. We need a break. Could you support Tax Freedom Day for July 1st of every year? From Murray.
Yes and no. It won't be the first mandate because, like I told you, we need to balance the budget, and I like to give you a tax break the first mandate, but it will be after. I cannot lower taxes with borrowed money because that would be your children and grandchildren that will pay for it. But we will do it after balancing the budget. Yes, we want to give you more of your own money in your own pocket.
Okay, so this one says, hi Max. How can we stop them from cheating? From Barb, from cheating. Good answer. I like that one.
That's the machine.
Just in general, I think just from cheating.
But first important, I must say, because we have always that question about the Dominion machines, we don't use that in Canada. I know that they use it in the US. In Canada, at the federal level, we never use it, we don't use it, we won't use it for this election. But, Election Canada wants to promote mail-in ballots. We said to them that we want to go back of what we did, and the mail-in ballots must be like what we did before, and with no special rules. So, what I'm telling you, you can be a scrutineer. You can be there when they will count the ballot. So if you want to be a scrutineer, you can speak with your candidates, be a volunteer during the election day, and look at what is happening there and check if everything is okay. That's the way we do that in Canada. That would be the same way this election, and I believe that would be a fair election.
So I've got 3 questions here. The first one is, I work for Canada Post. There possibly will be a mandatory vaccine mandate. I do not want the vaccine and do not want to quit. How do you suggest to handle this?
First, you must fight for your rights. It is illegal, unconstitutional, you will win. So if you have other co-workers that are with you, go with them and go see your employers, and you can write a letter. And you can find that also the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom. That's an organization, independent, non-profit organization. They don't have any money from the government, and their job is to fight for constitutional rights, and they will do that for you free. So you can contact them, go on their website. There's 2 battles that we must do in this country. That's the battle of the public opinion, and we are doing that. We are doing that, being in politics and fighting for what we want. And there's the other battle in court. So don't surrender, do that fight, and actually you will win, but you need to stand up and fight for that. And if you need to have some resources, the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom is there.
Okay, we have the second question here. What would you do to change standardized testing that hinders our youth?
COVID?
Standardized testing in school.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want any testing. We don't want to choose. You know, everybody must be free to decide if they want to wear a mask, if they want to have a vaccine. And testing, it's our body. You know, the feminists were saying, my body, my choice, but I'm saying that today also. My body, my choice. Yeah. So the testing...
Hello. In regards to the standardized testing, a little bit of translation there. Education isn't under the federal purview. That's provincial responsibility. We are all about decentralizing the federal government and autonomy for the provinces to deal with their issues at home for their people.
So we got the third written question. Your tax plan seems to favor small businesses. What do you intend to do to the tax code for individuals?
Same thing. We will lower taxes to businesses and individuals after balancing the budget.
And just part of this question and answer period, We'd just like to invite anybody who didn't know about the ballot box to come up. If you want, you can form lines here and here. If you wanted to ask your question, I can bring you the mic.
Somebody's got to be first.
You, sir, will be the next Prime Minister of this country. There is no losing. You're in it to win it. Not 5 seats, not 6 seats. The purple wave will take you all the way. Just a couple of things really quickly, Max. Merci beaucoup, by the way. I appreciate you coming. The first time I've ever spoken to a man who's going to lead our country. I'm very honored, actually, to be here. When they try to steal the Alpha and the Omega, they're not taking it from us, they're taking it from the name of Jesus Christ. Never, ever, ever let your values of Canada come down to what they want to do. It's what we want to do. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Have a great day. Thank you.
Hi. First, I just wanted to say thank you very much to the people on stage, Max, but also Mark, and some of the people that have really put themselves out there for the rest of us. Thanks for being so courageous. Many of us weren't courageous enough to do that ourselves, but I'd ask that every one of us as Canadians stops being so frickin' cowardly and stands up, together. One question I had for you, Max, it's a leading question actually, but to do with our monetary system and the Bank of Canada. If you could just answer, just tell us a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll be very short. As you know, right now we have inflation. When you do your grocery, 4 or 5% inflation, it will go up. Inflation is bad. Inflation is a hidden tax. Why do we have inflation? Because Justin Trudeau was able to do that huge deficit of $350 billion, and that was financed by the Bank of Canada. The Bank of Canada printed money out of thin air, and when you do that, you create inflation. So what we must do, 20% inflation is bad, 10% inflation is bad, 3% inflation is bad, but the Bank of Canada has a goal to have 3% inflation every year. So every year your purchasing power is going down, your standard of living is going down. What we will do, we will stop that and ask the Bank of Canada to have a zero inflation target. Like that, you will keep your purchasing power and your standard of living will go up. So that we want to end the printing of money out of thin air, and monetary policy is very important because you feel it every day when you are spending your own money. So instead of having the courage to tax you, Trudeau said, I won't take your own money in your own pockets, you can keep it, but with your money, you won't be able to buy the same amount of goods and services because the inflation will go up, your purchasing power is going down, your standard of living is going down. We will stop that by not having any deficit and by asking the Bank of Canada to have a zero inflation target.
Hi there. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Bernier for his bravery in standing up for all Canadians and every other member of the People's Party of Canada. And I only have one question, Mr. Bernier. What will he do to protect individuals' firearm rights?
That was our announcement of today. We believe that you have a property right, we must respect that. We don't want the RCMP to come to your house and today or tomorrow and telling you that your arms is illegal right now and you don't have the right to have it. That's your property. It won't happen because we'll repeal all the legislation that the Trudeau government put forward.